You said this is about who you love. Is it? Because now it must stop. Now you're on equal footing. Now are you going to say, but I want to crush you and your rights? And that is what's coming. Our churches had better wake up because game is on now.
A lot of people wearing white hats today. Anyway, welcome back to the Daily Wrap. We want to hear from you, by the way. Go to Newsmax.com, NewsmaxTV.com/comments, and let us know what you think about the SCOTUS ruling today. Welcome back to the show. I'm Joe Concha, joined by my co-host, Rick Unger, and filling out the panel we have Amy Holmes, Lisa Jandovitz. Okay, that was, of course, Glenn Beck on the Blaze TV, commenting on today's Supreme Court ruling allowing gay marriage to be the law of the land. Mr. Beck, not surprisingly, feels this ruling will open the door to churches and religious schools coming under attack for not being accepting of same-sex marriage. As a matter of fact, in Justice Roberts' dissent, he writes, hard questions arise when people of faith exercise religion in ways that may be seen to conflict with the new right to same-sex marriage when, for example, a religious college provides married student housing only to opposite-sex married couples, or a religious adoption agency declines to place children with same-sex married couples. Okay, we're joined now by Pastor Rick Scarborough. He is president of Vision America Action, a nonprofit group that's mission is to inform, encourage, and mobilize pastors and their congregations to be proactive in restoring Judeo-Christian values to the moral and civic framework in their community, states, and our nation. Dr. Scarborough, welcome to the show. First question, we've been asking this a lot lately. Did the ruling surprise you?
Unfortunately, it did not. This is exactly what we expected. I was even believing that it would be 6-3. So we were expecting this. It doesn't bring joy to say that, but it was not a surprise.
Rick?
Pastor, you know, what we just saw on the screen with respect to Justice Roberts' dissent, I found profoundly disturbing. I'm wondering how you feel about it. Since the day our Constitution was ratified, literally, we have had, quote, hard questions that arose out of every right that's given to us in the Constitution, out of every amendment. You would be really hard-pressed not to find an area of our Constitution that has not had to be examined by the Supreme Court because of hard questions that are raised. That doesn't seem to me to be a valid reason not to acknowledge a right that the Constitution grants to Americans. Does it to you?
Well, no, but you and I might see differently on the idea of if you're alluding to the fact that you think the Constitution grants this right to same-sex relations. I would disagree with that.
Well, it doesn't matter what I think. 5 justices of the Supreme Court today said that the Constitution does, and that's how our law works.
Make it right, though. It was justices, not gods.
No, but they're the Supreme Court.
Well, the Supreme Court has historically gotten it wrong on a number of occasions. And every time they've ruled against revealed natural law, they've proven to be wrong and have been later disgraced in some cases, and certainly people have lost respect for the justice as a result of it. Dred Scott is a very relevant example of that. But Bug v. Bell, which a lot of people forget about, happened in the 1920s, and the esteemed jurist, one of the most esteemed jurists we've ever had on this.
So how do you think, Pastor, how do you think the ruling is affecting religious schools? And one other question, I'll give you a two-parter. Do you think this type of ruling will open the door to legalizing things like polygamy?
Well, I think that there's a real possibility of that. I don't know what authority you would be able to forbid that now that we've departed from the direct language of the Constitution, which had the underpinning historically of faith, and I believe the founding fathers, all of which had strong relationships with God, some very devoted Christians. So I believe that the door is open for any kind of aberrant behavior.
Well, I would
go back to the Lawrence decision in 2002. That's exactly what Scalia predicted.
But I would point out to you, Pastor, and to answer your question, Joe, if you read the majority decision, you will see they very carefully use the word person, singular, not plural, in every single place where it would be appropriate to that. So in fact, you do have a Supreme Court ruling that does not open the door to polygamy because it says person, not persons.
Well, of course, we had a Supreme Court that had not opened the door to same-sex relations until today. So that, you know, if you go back and you read the decision written in 1992, Anthony Kennedy, in the Casey versus Planned Parenthood case, he gave us a prelude to this when he literally said our reality is whatever we define it to be. He moved from absolutes to a very changing mode of discussing reality at that point in time.
Absolutes according to who, sir?
Didn't howl at that decision.
Absolutes according to who?
I would say according to the Constitution, from a point of view of our government, but as a Christian, I would say from the foundation of God's holy word.
And isn't that where the problem comes in? Because while I respect your beliefs in that regard, in terms of what's absolute, and I do respect your beliefs, that doesn't mean that everybody else who is an American respects that same belief, and they may have other beliefs. That's why we have a Constitution.
Granted.
Pastor, I was struck by a poll that I read today that says it's 70% of those that were born after 1980 actually support gay marriage. The generational shift is just remarkable. All that said, and we only have about 15 seconds, I already asked the question, do you think it's surprising? But given the momentum we've seen, are you surprised that it happened this quickly?
No, I'm not. I mean, what other version of reality have they heard in the last 20 years, whether it be sitcoms or documentaries or talking heads? I mean, that's the only side they've heard.
Well, Pastor, we appreciate you joining us. Thanks so much.
My
More
pleasure.
on this historic ruling coming up next. Stay tuned.